How's it going, everyone? We are back. The weekly podcast is on my channel this week. Thank you everyone who came over from Darian's channel. Black Flags Matter. We're on my channel again this week. Technical difficulties. We will get those sorted out. I promise you. At some point, we can go back to rotating between everyone's channel the way we like doing it. We only are a few minutes in. Of course, as you can see, our special guest is driver Ryan Vargas. Really excited to have him on the show this week. We were just in the middle of talking about Las Vegas, the past Cup Series weekend, really the whole weekend. So I guess we should pick back up kind of where we left off. Darian, you're still technically the host, so you can take it away.
Yeah, so again, sorry guys, sorry to everyone for my internet problems. I will get those fixed this weekend. I thought I had them fixed last weekend, but whatever. But anyway, so I think we left it off with Ryan Vargas's thoughts on the Vegas race, correct? Or
I just finished up. We went to the
Jarrett. Okay, Jarrett, go ahead.
Okay, I just don't know how much everybody saw originally, but is Jarian gone? Crap.
No, I accidentally hit the
okay, I was about to say, I'm like, that would just be like perfect. Darian gets that little bit, hey, I'm gonna still host on this channel. Internet's like, no, you're not.
All right.
No, for the race overall, though, I'm gonna just sort of say kind of what I said a little bit and then build off that again. I'm not trying to sit on the fence here because I do see both sides of the argument. So, on one half, I think there are more. I will say there are more positives than negatives. The race is better than the last 2 years. Wasn't better in the Dust Bowl, but that's a once in a lifetime deal, or at least once in a few years. But I noticed the cars could get a lot closer to each other without having any aero problems. Really, they could race side by side more. The restarts were fantastic.
Yes,
I enjoyed watching the restarts. That's why I was like, I was. In a way, a little disappointed we didn't have more cautions, just because I would love to see more of those restarts. So, even though I'm not a big fan of the stages, I am thankful they were here for this race, especially because I've seen cars go 3 and 4 wide around a 1.5-mile track for more than just like one corner. In my opinion, like that should be seen as a success. I guess on the negative end, I could see where. Sometimes like lap cars would have to be in the way to cause, to have somebody pass somebody. So I can see that as being a negative. But overall, it wasn't the best race I've ever seen. It wasn't the best 1.5 miles I've ever seen. But I'd say it passed. I'd say it's something to build off of. I'd give it probably, because last year I think I gave the Vegas race like a 4 or 5 out of 10. Like I thought it was below average. I'd give this one probably a 6. I think it's above average. I wouldn't say good, yeah, but I don't know. I'd say it's all right.
Well, just watching the race in person. Well, first off, before the race even started, we had an awesome crowd for the Cup Series race. I shared a little video on Twitter about that. I was like, wow, like we gotta, seems like it's a packed house for this race. I'm really excited. Then the actual race started, and stage 1. I mean, nothing really happened other than a little bit of strategy going on. Suarez had stayed out. Him and his crew chief had decided to roll the dice, and they had stayed out. And then when they pitted, they had only taken I believe 2 tires, and I was thinking like, oh, they're gonna drop like a rock, and then no, they stayed right up there. So this package is really a track position game, more so than it might be actual racing to a certain extent. But stage 1, nothing really happened. Then we got into stages 2 and 3. And it was exciting. Keselowski rolled the dice on 2 tires there, and there was some close racing up amongst the top 5. And, we were seeing guys going back and forth. Kyle Busch was up there battling for the lead as well. But also the penalties, the freaking penalties, man. Like, these are some of the most, like, NASCAR, to me, just has too many rules, too many unnecessary rules. Like, for example, the whole, too many men over the wall. Both Larson and Dillon's teams, like both of their, I guess their, one of their crew guys had put their hand over the pit stall, like on the pit stall and stuff, and I guess that counted as like, oh, too many men over the wall, and I was like, that's ridiculous, man.
See, because originally and again, I think it's in this instance can be ridiculous. At the same time, though, I saw something that Steve Letard had said, and because him and Rick Allen went back and forth about it, and it's like, if you see somebody get away with that, like just an arm over the wall, well, then the crew chiefs are going to see and be like, oh, let's see if we can get somebody put like 2 arms over the wall, since technically they're not completely over. And then it's like they're slowly and surely going to be trying to push that edge, and if somebody can have one hand over the wall, well, they can still reach, hypothetically,
right,
and make it easier for the rest of the crew, get the tire over there quicker, and they can change it, and it gives them hypothetically an unfair advantage. While I think it's ticky-tacky, I do think it's better, though, than making it like a ball and strike call.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to see somebody get penalized down the road for the same thing, and then later on you're going to see somebody do something similar, but because of one certain little loophole here, they're not penalized. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I think it's something that's going to come up later in the season. As soon as I saw it, I was like, watch this be what determines getting someone to Homestead or not in November. I'm like, just watch this come back. But yeah, watch this come back at the end of the year. And I think it will, and I think we're going to have this big, conversation about it all over again. But for me, if it was a mistake, it happens. But and yes, it's a little ticky-tacky, but it's the rule.
Yeah.
You might not like it, but they enforce the rule the way it's supposed to be enforced.
Yeah, I get that. It's just I don't know, just calls like that. I don't know, they just really get at me. You know what I mean? So
it's the same thing where if like in basketball, someone hits an amazing game-winning 3-pointer, but their toe was just behind, just out of bounds or something like that. Like it's just has to be the right call. And thanks for the winky face. I am the best. I see you in the chat.
Yeah, thanks for the $2. But as far as the rest of the race goes, Kyle Busch looked like he was about to sweep the weekend. I think he had the best car during the whole race, and unfortunately, he threw the race away by speeding on pit road. Pretty much cost the win for himself. And then towards the end, we had a pretty good battle between Logano and Keselowski. Honestly, I saw this on Twitter. That finish sort of reminded me of the whole Rockingham finish from 2001, especially in the final turn. I mean, like the way Keselowski almost got him looked exactly identical to how Bobby Labonte almost got Steve Park during that race at Rockingham. So that's what that finish reminded me of. And then, go ahead.
I'll tell you this: like when I was watching the race from the stands, there's a very few races where I've seen people like be up on their seat. For a lot of that last stage, people were up and standing. And going crazy. Like when Kurt Busch stayed out and was pulling incredible blocks. I mean, on old tires, leading. Mm-hmm. When he was standing out and doing that, like that was something that kept the fans on the edge of their seat. And then you had at the end of the race, I mean, everyone was standing. Everybody was cheering and throwing their hands and going, heck yeah. Like I've only seen a few races where that's happened, and that was one of them. So, I mean, you look at obviously everyone wants to point at the first stage and say, yeah, this is a terrible package. But at the end of the day, I mean, the folks who were there, I mean, I guarantee you not everybody there knew that there was a package, that there was a new rules, there was new something. Like, I guarantee there were some people out there that were just casual fans, but I can tell you, everybody was standing. Everybody was going nuts.
And that's one of the reasons why Vegas got the second race, because each and every year, more people seem to show up. That's why you lost a race, New Hampshire, because Vegas can do better. But
going after New Hampshire here.
Jeez, man.
Yeah. But for the most part, I'll give this race a 7 out of 10. I feel like for the most part, the reason why people just said, oh, it's a horrible race was because there was no wrecks, was because there was no actual cautions to me.
I think there's another reason, too. Granted, I do think NASCAR fans like wrecks, maybe sometimes a little too much, but I think in this instance, the biggest reason, at least for the online, I guess hate you could say the race is getting, in my opinion, it's more for the coverage. And I saw this on Twitter, and it reminded me so much of something we were talking about last year. And it reminded me of something that Keselowski was talking about. It's like if you compare races on Fox and NBC, on Fox, they're always zoomed in on one car. It's like there's like a picture, it's like Fox, and it just shows like half of Stenhouse's car overly zoomed in. And then it shows NBC, and in the closing laps, there's an overhead view. On a restart, there's an overhead view showing the battle for the lead while also showing the battle for 10th. Because I noticed that during the race, there were plenty of times where there were battles going on, and Mike Joy and Jeff Gordon, or and DW, they're all going crazy about it. But then you see all they're showing are the first two cars running single file, and it's like, well, yeah, people are going to be like aren't going to be as thrilled about it when you just focus on those first two guys, whereas they're literally going 4 and 5 wide back in the pack, and you won't show it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the biggest problem too. And I think had Fox shown more angles, or just even just done double screen and shown different battles like they used to do, I think that they'd have at least a lukewarm reception for it.
Yeah. I want to ask the two guys in this stream here that were at the race in person, because I saw a few tweets where it was like, man, you guys are missing a lot of good battles from like 15th on back and stuff like that. I was like, is that actually what was happening? Did the racing look better like mid-pack or towards the back than years past?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there was like constant passing for like 15th through 20th mostly. Even on the long green flag runs and stuff, man. It was awesome. But
I agree with him. Like, you saw cars. I remember it was like 40 laps into the final stage, and I saw a group of 4 or 5 cars in their group. Like, it was 2 cars on the bottom, 3 up top, and they were widening out. One car would stick it in the middle, then they'd go down the backstretch 3 wide, then they split each other again going into 3 and 4. Like, there was racing all over the racetrack. So I mean, like I said, the fans in the stands seemed pretty happy, and that's why I was a little bit surprised to go on Twitter and see all the negative reception. Like I said, I wasn't anticipating wow, this was great, but I was anticipating a little bit more of a warmer reception than that.
Yeah, I had the luxury of going outside to watch the race in person, and then going back into the PR office and watching the race on Fox. And I was like, wow, Fox, you guys suck, man. You guys just suck this week. Like, there's so much action going on in like the mid packs and sort of up front at times, and you guys are just missing it. What's wrong with you?
In the past, I know more than you guys, I typically defend Fox's broadcasts more, mainly because I love Mike Joy. But I'll be honest, these last 2 weeks, I would say specifically this Las Vegas race, Fox, I'm noticing the decline. Like last year, Talladega last year, Fox ran a ton of commercials. I didn't think the coverage was that good, but I was like, it's Talladega. It was one race. I'll come some slack. But the fact that I'd say 2 of the first 3 races this year, I have not been impressed at all with Fox's coverage. I hope it gets better because they got the first half of the season. But yeah, this is the year I am noticing that Darrell Waltrip's making less sense. Jeff Gordon, he's just kind of boring. He is kind of boring. Mike Joy, I like Mike Joy a lot, and I still think he's the best thing of Fox. And I still think he's one of the best play-by-play guys I've seen in NASCAR. But even it feels like some of his lines are too scripted now. It feels like he knows what he's going to say before he says it.
Yeah, one of the things that NBC does that I like is that they'll often change the booth. They'll often swap out. Like one race, they had Rick Allen in the pits, and they had like Jeff Burton and Steve Letarte and I think Kyle Petty in the booth. Like they switched it out throughout races. I mean, they even did the MRN style of broadcasting. So, like NBC was constantly trying to find different ways of bringing a different race, and I personally like that because it kind of shows their commitment to trying new things, especially when trying to make a NASCAR race. I mean, even as a driver, I know that it's not the most entertaining thing in the world to watch, whether you're at a super speedway or short track or an intermediate. Like there's still going to be those bland periods, but NBC has figured out a way to kind of keep fans engaged while that's all happening.
Yeah. And I will give Fox a little bit of credit. They have improved their pre-race show. I like what they've done the last 2 weeks by cutting to like Larry McReynolds, Jamie McMurray. They'll have Ricky Craven, a couple other people kind of in like the Charlotte studio, and then they'll kind of bounce between them and then back out to Darrell Waltrip and Mike Joy and them, and they'll kind of do that for the whole like hour or so leading up. Michael Waltrip's there on the grid and everything. Their pre-race show is better this year. I'll give Fox that credit. I actually like what they're doing. I watched that. Yeah. The problem is I think their pre-race show from years past has scared a lot of people away.
Hollywood Hotel. That's right.
The biggest problem with this too is people in the sport, like at least when it comes to drivers or most other media members, like they're not going to call them out either because just TV deal wise, they're paying basically for half the season. They're paying billions of dollars, and that's like the frustrating part here is like I think that with NBC getting better, like NBC started rough. Like they had a few good broadcasts, and then it was rough. I mean, aggressive went around and everything, but I think they listen to the fans, and you see this with most of their motorsports coverage. From what I've noticed, they listen to the fans, and then they try new things, like you were saying. They try these new things. They do some things don't work out. Like I think the MRN style really worked at Watkins Glen. I don't think it worked at Indianapolis as well. But they did something new. With Fox, it's like, yes, they're doing a few new things like the pre-race show, and those are good. But Fox is just sort of, other than Mike Joy, I love Mike Joy either way. I think he's the best announcer in the sport right now. But other than Mike Joy, everything feels stale. It's just same static cameras, same announcing, same bias from Jeff Gordon or Darrell Waltrip. It's just the same stuff. They need to do a huge shakeup. I know there was like a rumor back in December that Joe Buck. That is not the shakeup we want.
I never heard that rumor. Joe Buck was coming to NASCAR.
There was like a rumor going around that Joe Buck was going to do a few races here or there or do something. I'm just like, no.
Chase Elliott.
No.
Chase Elliott.
No. Elliott. There you go. Or it'd be like, yeah. I mean. I'd love to figure out what meme-worthy things he'd say, because it's like ever since the Minneapolis Miracle, I always hear, every time I watch it, I always hear passes caught, inbounds, or something like that. But after a week, it'd probably, or maybe a lap, it'd probably wear off on me.
You never know, though.
Yeah.
When Alan Bestock was on our show, he did say he had something in the works. You never know. Maybe he'll pop up somewhere NASCAR related. You never know.
Yeah,
hopefully we have him back on in the future. All right. So, go ahead.
I need my boy Alan back in the booth.
Yeah.
I think we all do.
All right. So the next topic, Joey Logano basically called out NASCAR Twitter. Yeah. So I was actually there. In the media center when he said that, and just everyone was just dying in laughter, whoever was there. And Joey Logano was just like, when he was asked the question about all of the negativity on Twitter after the race, and he's like, people are being negative? And she's like, yes. And then he's like, you know what? This is something that really gets me fired up. Like Logano he seems like a pretty chill person. But to see him like kind of get a little fired up about that was kind of funny, but to me in person. But he basically pretty much said like, oh, people just love they just love to complain. He's sick of all the negativity, and basically dismissed those being negative about the package as just Twitter trolls. What do you guys think? Was he in the right?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, that's kind of, from what I've seen since I've joined Twitter and since I've been on there, I've noticed that's kind of been where the root of all the negative comments have come from. I've seen some people who just only tweet about the negatives, Nick Bromberg. And so
this is my new favorite guest we've had on the show.
Yes, you are. Yep.
So,
you have. Yep.
And I don't say that because he is a journalist and I do respect that. But I remember one time, and here's a funny thing. So I remember my buddy Christian Espinoza. He tweeted something about how he's like really pumped because he saw a really good crowd at Charlotte for something. Like, and he was like, "Yeah, this is awesome. The 600's full or something like that." And then Nick Bromberg or something, his quote tweeted it and said, "Oh, well, the stands are at the smallest capacity they've ever been. NASCAR's at its lowest point, so I don't think this is necessarily a win." And it's just like, shut up. I'm like, I don't. It's rough. Like, it's rough to be a NASCAR fan in 2018 because if you go on NASCAR Twitter,
2019.
Sorry, we moved up a year. It's tough to be a NASCAR fan in 2019 because if you go on Twitter and look up NASCAR, I guarantee you the first couple tweets you look at will be NASCAR TV ratings at their lowest point, or NASCAR field at their lowest point. Only 36 cars show up for Phoenix. Stadiums cut out another 1,000 seats. Those are the only things that you see. And don't get me wrong, those are facts. But the thing is, now people start twisting those facts and are like, oh, wow, NASCAR's dying. NASCAR's dead. It's been dead since Dale died, blah, blah, blah. I mean, when you have a racetrack that still fills 65,000, 70,000, 80,000 seats, I don't know. That doesn't seem dead to me.
That's a lot. I mean, it's still a lot.
And don't get me wrong, I try not to be the devil's advocate because I love NASCAR, but I also am very.
That's Jared's job. That's Jared's job, actually. That's my job.
Exactly. But yeah, it took me a second. I was like, okay, but there's so much good going on in the sport, and it's often overshadowed by those who don't look at it. And it's hard to see when I'm me being a racer trying to move up in the sport and say, oh wow, I want to be at that level when people are constantly bashing something at that level or something about NASCAR. I'd rather see people look at facts and then say things than take a fact and skew it to the way that they want to see it.
No, I agree. I mean, don't get me wrong here. This podcast, at times we've been very negative about the sport at times and stuff. And I feel like for good reasons. I mean, me and Jarrett are, we've said things like, oh, there shouldn't be a playoffs, that sort of thing.
The difference is, though, we watch every single week. I'm convinced that a lot of the loudest Twitter trolls, good Lord, haven't actually watched a race. Or maybe watch one race a year. I feel like a lot of the people you see trolling on Twitter are old NASCAR fans that have left the sport. But there comes a point where once you've left the sport, what's the point of jumping back in just to say negative things? Why are you trying to ruin it for other people?
Well, I love the people who comment on their on NASCAR's posts that say, "Wow, that was terrible. I'm never watching again." It's like, cool. Thanks for announcing.
Yeah.
Don't care.
I mean, I feel like that's the trendy thing to do now, though. I feel like whenever I say something positive, or Eric, or yourself, or Jarrett, I feel like for the most part, it gets shut down and stuff, and it's and then the typical, well, NASCAR's dying, comments or replies, or you don't know what you're talking about type thing, and people tend to refer to the early 2000s. I mean, newsflash, it's not the early 2000s anymore.
Yeah,
we're not at the peak. Yeah, I mean, we're not at the sports peak. And yes, the car isn't perfect. But I mean, while we are basically, talking about the negatives and stuff, I feel like there's a lot more positives still going on right now. I mean, for example, I have to applaud NASCAR for at least trying to do something with this package and stuff, rather than just leaving it alone and just hoping for the best. I mean, even what's his name? The Steve Phelps, is that his name?
Yeah,
president.
Yeah, Steve Phelps. He even said basically after the race that we're not satisfied with the package.
Steve O'Donnell. That's
Steve O'Donnell. I'm sorry. All right. Yeah, Steve O'Donnell said that after the race. He's like, yeah, we're still not satisfied with the package. We're gonna tweak it a little bit. We're gonna work with it. I mean, I have to applaud them for at least doing something, rather than in the Brian France regime, just not saying anything at all.
Brian France regime. I like that one. I'm going to use that. I'll say this. For the most part, I am on the same side with you guys on it. I liked everything Logano said until he said trolls. Granted, there are a few people that troll, but it's in my opinion, when you start using those buzzwords like troll, and all those other kind of little things here or there, I feel like it kind of diminishes it, because then if you look at the headlines written about it, half of them are Logano calls out trolls. Well, it's no, most of what he said wasn't even really talking about them. He's talking about all this good stuff.
Comments.
Yeah, and at the same time, I do think NASCAR fans, especially on Twitter, need to get a little more positive about things. I mean, you look at some of the changes they've made in the offseason. It's not going to be overnight.
No.
It's been what? August, September, October, November, December, January, February, going into March. It's been 7 months AB after Brian, and it's not gonna jump up and be the best it's ever been in 7 months. We got to give it a little time. Now, I mean, granted, I also think the blue check marks in NASCAR Twitter need to grow some thicker skin. I mean, when you see Dale Jr. and Steve Letarte bragging about how many people they blocked, it kind of turns you off.
Yeah,
it's
that was a little weird.
Yeah.
You guys are cool and all, but you're really starting to act like older people. Basically, that's the only way I can put it. Usually, those guys are pretty in tune with what's going on with normal fans, and especially with sometimes younger fans. But in that moment, I'm like, man, you're going in pure boomer logic here, guys. But I don't know, man. It's like, at this point, what do you expect? For me, I've sort of drawn myself out of being on Twitter on race days. Like, I think I did for the 500 a little bit, and there's some good stuff like on there at that point. But at this point, like, if you can't fix it, if you're not putting, something positive out there, or just at least something just
if you don't have something nice to say, might as well just
if it's like, if it's just you're purposely going out there just to make people upset, like, there's no point in putting it. For me, it's like, I'm more stay in my group chats and stuff during the races. That's the thing. It's like, if you're so mad, get with some other people who are mad. There's plenty of people with open DMs on Twitter that are willing to talk trash about the sport. You don't need to go on every person who's actually having a good time. And again, when there's something that, is worth calling out, I think any of us on here would call it out, but it's getting old at this point.
That's the thing. I wish Joey had kind of that. I agree with him. Like, using the word troll is a little. I don't know. It's fine because there's two different types of people on Twitter, and there's the people that criticize NASCAR, but I think do it in a constructive way, or do it from a place of like support. Like, they're criticizing it because they want something to be improved. But the problem is, and I think the same people Joey Logano has a problem with, and also I think unfortunately the most vocal group are the people that are just negative about NASCAR because I think they do want NASCAR to fail. And I've said this before, I think there is a small portion of NASCAR fans that want NASCAR to die out and actually fail because then they'll be proven right. Oh, see, this is what you get for putting those damn playoffs in place. This is what you get for the car tomorrow. I told you so. Like, that's what I think some fans, a small percentage, but a very vocal percentage, that's what I think they actually want. And another thing is, I think a lot of NASCAR fans don't know exactly what they want. When this package was introduced last year, where people said, like, this is what we're doing, a lot of people were saying, like, oh, we don't want pack racing at every track. This is going to turn every race into Daytona. They're going to wreck all the time. It's terrible. Race comes. Not much pack racing. Kind of looks like your typical Las Vegas race. Where's the pack racing? This didn't make the racing any better. Like, what? And I know it's probably not the same people, but again, this also goes back to something I've said forever. NASCAR fans are split. Half want one thing, half want the other thing, and they don't ever see eye to eye, it seems. So, in a nutshell, that's who I think Logano is calling out. The people that don't actually want to find a solution, they just want to drag something that down because, I don't know, it makes them feel self-righteous. That's my thoughts. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you for putting every thought I have in my head into a sentence.
Yeah. It's like a monologue more like, but you're welcome.
I feel like that scene in Incredibles where Syndrome's like, you got me monologuing again.
Yeah. Oh, someone just stole my fridge while I was doing that. Dang it. Took advantage.
Again, I know that NASCAR YouTube and NASCAR Reddit have a strained relationship. I'll just say that. But I found something a little interesting on there. If you present me really quick, it was an old commercial. It's an old Toyota commercial.
Oh,
and they took a screenshot, and most of the time, I mean, I think you can tell, got Dale here, got Dale back there. I think for the most part, more often than not, I'm an old school fan, but I do want to troll right here for a moment. So is the camera on me?
Yes, I am presenting you.
By the way, Teresa Earnhardt has yet to sue him, by the way.
Yes, I haven't been sued by Teresa yet. Yes.
That's Dale with a Toyota ad, in a Toyota ad?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
It was a local ad at one point, but it was a Toyota ad. It was a NASCAR ad more, but the Toyota logo goes up. Toyota logo goes up on Earnhardt. So I just wanted to just joke.
You just pissed off a bunch of 50-year-olds, basically.
Yeah, I can hear myself.
Yeah, someone's echoing.
I don't think it's me.
But yeah, so I just wanted to have a little fun there.
The 50-plus fan base wants to know my location.
Well, I'm still waiting for Teresa to sue me.
Right. Oh, yeah.
This is a running joke for however long we have it.
All right, so in other news, Hailie Deegan... Oh, wait, hold on. Someone's echoing.
Let me see. I don't think it's on my end.
Hey, Vargas, it might be you because you don't have headphones.
It might be me.
You just got earbuds or something?
Here, let me... Is it better?
No.
I moved my phone away from something.
All right, I could still hear myself a little bit.
Hold up.
All right, so while we get that figured out, so Hailie Deegan scored her second career K&N West Series victory. Congrats to her. She also becomes the very first female to lead the points in a NASCAR series. So that's pretty historic there. So if you didn't watch if you didn't watch the race, essentially Jagger Jones, who I didn't even hear of, he's going to be a stud. I think he might even go as far as win the K&N West Series title. I mean, he's that good. On the final lap, he was leading. He had about he had a 4-second lead with about 10 to go, but then it shrunk to like a second, 2 seconds. All right. And then on the final lap, he's leading. And then hey, Jarrett, say this with me. This beta driver friggin' turned him in.
He didn't say it with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep that behind the scenes for the most part.
This beta driver basically.
We like characters on The Walking Dead. Only few people will get that one.
This driver basically was a lap car, turned down on him, getting him loose and allowing Hailie Deegan to get on the inside, take the lead, take the lead, and win the race. So congrats to her. What are your thoughts on that?
I was hyped. I was so hyped. Hailie's been a really good friend of mine since the whole NASCAR Next deal. So I was really pumped for her. And I'm friends with Jagger as well. He's actually in one of my group chats, and so I mean, it was kind of funny to watch two of my friends duke it out like that. I don't know who those lap cars were. My buddy Brad is convinced that we live in a simulation and that some people are NPCs, non-playable characters. I think those lap cars were NPCs, and I was very shocked at some of them. Some of them almost looked like they were flat out blocking Jagger. Like it was bad. I'm not usually very critical on lap cars, but that was bad on some of them. The 72 gave Jagger a little bit of room. The one who ended up leaving, giving Jagger Hailie the opportunity to pass. But Jagger also had a lot of room where he did slip up a little bit. But overall, Jagger had a very impressive start. I mean, that was one heck of a run by him. And I mean, Hailie, she just never quit. She did not quit. Like she was 5 seconds back and was closing the gap by like 0.2 every lap. Like she was slowly closing it, but not enough to where she would have caught him without help. But when that help happened, she was already on the gas to be there. So she did everything right. Jagger, he still has a whole year ahead of him before he's gonna get himself some wins and he'll be fine. I mean, that was just one heck of an opener, and I'm pumped for both of them.
And one last thing I want to say before I give it off to Eric. At the start of the race, Deegan, she started, I believe, 9th. I believe she started around 8th.
She was 7th, I think.
Oh, 7th. Okay, yeah. She started 7th, and I expected her to just take off. She'll have the lead by like lap 10, something crazy like that.
Oh.
And then I don't know. That's what I was thinking. And then when it didn't happen. I was just under the assumption like, oh, okay, she'll have the long run car, she'll be all right. And then towards the end of the first half of the race, the first 50 laps, she ended up finishing 3rd in the first half, and then in the second half she came out 2nd after they made adjustments, and she was able to win. So, man, just props to her. I feel like while the win is great, though, it's obviously great. She said herself that this is a place she has to win at. So she pretty much put the pressure on herself. And I mean, for good reason. I mean, she finished 2nd in the first race out here. She finished 2nd to Sheldon Creed in September. So, and I mean, dirt racing is basically that's her bread and butter, man. So I feel like at this point, she's expected to win at those types of racetracks and stuff. But again, props to her.
See, I think also just looking at the community a little bit, it's perfect timing with Joseph being out there to interview her too. Yeah. So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it
was a pretty good interview. So people after watching this, check that out. But I was, I saw it on Twitter, because I don't think they played it live. I know they're doing a replay of it on NBC Sports Network, and it's just. She keeps moving up the ladder, seems like, it's like each time I see something new from her, it seems like she's improving, and I don't think that can be anything but good for the sport. You know, the way the future looks bright.
Yeah, they did have a live stream of that race. I think on like Racing Fans
Fans Choice, yeah.
Fans Choice, something like that. Yeah, so I watched it live. It was like 2:30 in the morning here when it finally ended. But I will say this. It prompted me to make a video about her and talk about kind of what I think her future looks like. But watching the finish of that race, that was the most hyped I've been watching a finish since. I'm a big Matt Kenseth fan, so I could argue since any of Kenseth's wins, maybe Jones and Daytona last year, because I'm also a Jones fan now. When he won that race, I was hyped because it was his first win. But I got out of my chair and did like a fist pump, like that was like I don't do that when just like Joey Logano wins at Las Vegas. I don't do that even when Denny Hamlin wins for JD Gibbs and everything at Daytona. Like I didn't do that. But with Hailie Deegan wins that race the way she did, which I think you hit the nail on the head, Ryan. Lap cars completely screwed over Jager Jones entirely there. But that being said, she was closing in. She had the faster car in that run. You know, she was going to have a shot at him with or without the lap cars. But yeah, that helped seal the deal. But needless to say, the fact that there was I wasn't there in person, but it looked like maybe there's 200 people, 300 people there in the stands watching that race.
There were a lot of Outlaws fans just there for Outlaws, and as soon as that was over, they just left.
As soon as the
left.
The World of Outlaws have their own following. Once the Outlaws race ended, a good half or more of the stands emptied out.
Yeah, that's what it looked like, and I know it was late and everything, but
the race started at 11.
Yeah. The fact that though a race of like, you know, I don't want to say that small. It's a NASCAR sanctioned event. It's a big race. But the fact that kind of a local thing like that, again, gets national media attention. It typically does when you have a crazy finish like that. That's, you know, just exciting to watch. But also when you have someone like Hailie Deegan who, I mean, I've never met her, but she seems super fun. Everyone seems to have nothing but great things to say about her, and she's obviously talented. Like it's a lot of pressure to put on her, but she seems to like putting pressure on herself. She's the future of stock car racing, or at least a big part of it, and I think that's exciting to see finishes like this go her way.
She's like I said, she's been a very open person, and like, you know, recently I've been able to have recently I've been lucky enough to kind of be a friend with her. You know, she's always been really cool, like through NASCAR Next, you know. She's always been very cool, very open to talk. I mean, her and my mom talked for like 20 minutes the first time they met. Like, it was just, you know, she's just a very nice girl, and she's very talented. I mean, she's proven it in everything she's driven. And, you know, when she's at the track 4 times out of the week, you know, she's going to learn something. You know, she's always at a racetrack, whether it be racing her off-road truck or racing go-karts or racing a legend car, racing a late model, racing a K&N car. She's in something throughout the week. And that's, you know, you know, she's very fortunate to be in that position, but you know what? She's making it work, and she's putting in that effort, which is very impressive.
She also announced on Friday that she'll be making 6 ARCA starts for Venturini Motorsports. So it's not going to make Decker look any better. I can tell you that. I can guarantee that. But I don't know. I have to ask you guys, like, do you feel that fans already are overhyping her, like, a little bit now? Like, should we just should we just pump the brakes for a second here? I mean, it is her second year in K&N. I know, like, you know, she should do better than her first year. But I mean, again, like I said, the win was on dirt. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I feel like we should we'll see if we see more wins on the short tracks, you know, ovals and stuff. And since she's racing ARCA, I mean, if she can win at a track like a Michigan or a Pocono, I mean, that would be fantastic. But do you think that we should pump the brakes just a little bit here?
I think definitely she's a little overhyped right now. I mean, at the end of the day, she's won 2. She's been successful. She's one of the top drivers in the K&N series right now. But I think people are already acting like she has the potential to be the next Jeff Gordon, and I'm guilty of this too. I mean, I hype her up, or I obviously get extremely excited. I only tuned into that race because she was racing, and I wanted to see if she would win because I knew she was good on dirt. But she's still very young. She's still got a long ways to go, and there's a lot of other competitive drivers like you, Ryan, that are there kind of also going to be competing for the same spots that she is in the next few years. So to say that she's going to go out and be a future NASCAR champion, way too early to say. But I think a lot of NASCAR fans are just very desperate for kind of something to look forward to. And since Dale Jr.'s gone, Jeff Gordon's gone, they're kind of looking for the next one of those, the next unique personality that they can cheer for. And Hailie right now, of all the, you know, she's one of the top people, I'd say, under the age of like 25 that I think people were excited for Chase Elliott, and then it took him 3 years to win. People were excited for Kyle Larson, took him 3 years to win. So now people are like, well, where are we going to look now? Like, they didn't live up to the hype right away. Who's the next one who possibly could? And thanks for the super chat, Mr. Sportsfan88. I see you. Hailie Deegan's the next person I think a lot of fans are looking at because she's getting a lot of public media attention. It doesn't hurt the fact that she's also a girl, and you just don't see many of them in NASCAR, and you haven't seen very many of them at all be as successful as she's been. So it's a combination of everything. I think she'll be good, but yeah, no doubt, people are definitely overhyping her so far, but it's early.
And she, I'm already going to answer Darian's question. She is the next big thing. She will go very far in the sport, and she is going to go. She will make it to. I guarantee you, she'll make it to some of the highest levels of the sport.
No, I believe it.
And she is a girl, and she has a great following. But like I do have to say, to a point, people are getting a little bit too ahead of themselves. And I'm saying this as a friend of Hailie as well. Like, there's a lot of K&N drivers who are in the field as well. Derek Kraus has a ton of wins. Then you look at Ruben Garcia, my former teammate, Ruben, who's won 2 races who's finally won 2 races in the K&N East for Rev Racing, which was for a while considered a underdog. Now Ruben's out there winning and is a title favorite this year. You have Tyler Ankrum. You have, even Anthony Alfredo. Other drivers who, have gone up. And she's honestly better than, a lot of people. I always say people overhype me because I never got a win. And I'm doing all these appearances and talking to you guys and stuff. But, she's a very good driver. She's going to go very far in the sport. But I just want people to, understand, there's still a process. She still needs to make it to the trucks or the Xfinity. She needs to go through those levels because, it's still a long road for her. But she's going to go far in the sport.
I haven't seen a more hyped driver in this series, in the K&N West series, since Dylan Kwasniewski. Remember him? He's the only guy to ever win both the K&N East and West series titles back to back. And when he got to the Nationwide series, he just stalled out, man. And then you never heard from him again. I think he's out here in Vegas. He's from Vegas. I think he's out here working insurance now, I believe.
He's doing real estate.
Oh, real estate. Okay, yeah. And, so for Deegan and stuff, I feel like I get the sense that she's not going to be rushed, though. I like that. I think her dad had even said the Xfinity series by the age of 20 seems like the way to go. That from I believe he has said that before in one of his videos and stuff. But I'm really looking forward to see what else she has this season.
Well, and if you look, she doesn't need to move up too quick. A lot of drivers, it seems like the way the sport's going, especially with sponsorship, is if there's a sponsor ready and you have that opportunity, you jump on it, even if you're not necessarily ready for it. But just today I saw something that Monster was saying they would stay with her as she climbed up the ladder. And there's 2 things that I hope to God that she doesn't have happen. One is that she doesn't get rushed. I don't think that's going to happen. And 2 is not to be like Danica and be turned only into a sex symbol. And I don't think she will, because she is bound and determined, it seems like, to just be racing. Wait, what?
What was that?
She's such a bro.
Such a bro.
Yeah.
I saw her on pit road and I was like, hey, and she was like in the pace car. She's like, so like chill. You're like, it's so cool. And you mentioned it earlier. She has that sponsor loyalty from Monster. And that's very hard to come about in any sport, let alone
that's big.
NASCAR.
That's really big.
So,
that's a really big deal.
That's awesome for her, and that's but for other drivers who don't have that sponsorship, me, there are times where you have to jump on opportunities and stuff, and it's going to be like you're going to see other drivers do moves that people are going to say, oh well, this guy never did something, but they're doing that. Why is that when this person who is winning is taking the slow route, doing ARCA, then truck, then Xfinity, then Cup? It's tough to find that sponsorship in the sport. And Hailie's been a very good role model, not only for Monster, but for just everything that she's done. So props to her.
Yeah, I checked out her Instagram today. She has about like 330,000 followers. I mean, for a K&N driver, that's a lot. That's more than some Cup Series drivers.
That's more than almost every Cup Series driver. I actually did that research. I think Johnson is the only active Cup driver with more Instagram followers.
Yeah. So.
I also wanted to shout out Z8 Podcast for the super chat. He asked us, how did you guys feel about the Cup race going caution free without stage breaks? He says it was kind of cool to be able to see that. What do you guys think? That's the first time since I think 2002 a race has gone
Talladega 2000
caution free. That was, I mean, at least we saw a historical event.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the best history, but you know, it's interesting. Like whether it went caution free or if it was a wreck fest, that doesn't really change my opinion too much. Now, if we go to Talladega and I see a caution-free race, then I'm gonna be a little bit.
Yeah,
I was seeing something about Talladega that they're like already going like 200 or so with just 3 cars, like 200, 201. So I actually wanted to pose this question. I was just thinking about it. Do you think they're going to change it to try and slow the cars down more before then, or are they just going to stick with it and hope it goes well? Because I mean, if only 3 cars are drafting and it's like 201, 202 miles an hour. Can you imagine a pack of 30, how fast they could get?
All I know is I'm excited for what NASCAR's bring into that. And from my understanding of the rules, and you know, if someone who knows and can correct me if I am wrong, let me know. But from what my understanding is, the cars that they're taking to Talladega and Daytona now, they're the same cars they could take to the intermediates and the other tracks. Like they're making those cars interchangeable because basically this same package that they ran at Vegas is the same type of package they're going to be able to take to Talladega and Daytona. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see some of the lower teams as well be able to come in with almost the same car and go run Talladega and Daytona.
I'm wondering if it's going to be more like Xfinity races have been at the plate tracks, where you can get closer together. And because I know that with the tandem rules out, the Xfinity races from like 2013, 14 on, they've been really good at the plate tracks, and and you can move in different lines. It's almost like watching a Cup race at a plate track from about 2000 to I'd say 2007, 2008. So that would be something I'm really looking forward to, and I think that that might be something that could do a similar deal that happened this past weekend and increase the TV ratings. I mean, if you look at this past week, went from 4.7 million to about 5.1.
No, I was about to say that.
We moved on to TV ratings now.
Yeah.
I'm the segue king on this podcast. We all know that.
Woohoo! Up TV ratings.
Yeah. Yeah. In case you guys didn't hear, the ratings for this year's Vegas race are they went up 8%.
That's a big jump.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How many was it again, Jarrett? 5.1 million.
5.115 million viewers compared to 4.735 last year.
So 400,000 person jump. That's bigger than most cities.
I mean, that's pretty big. I mean, that's pretty big, especially in today's motorsports media market, where like the norm has been like, oh, ratings going down or either flatlining. I said from the very beginning this year, if a race either A, flatlines in ratings, or B, increases at least by like 1% or something like that, that's a huge win. And to see the Vegas race, my home track, increase 8% in ratings, I mean, that's pretty awesome. It's pretty dope.
It's a good start to the year because you've got Daytona basically flatlined. Atlanta was slightly less, I believe, or it was like 1% less, which pretty good. You're basically flatlining at that point, given how steep the drops were last year. And then to see an increase like that at Las Vegas, obviously interest in the new package. All those, as Logano would say, Twitter trolls who said last year, I'm never going to watch if they put this package on the track. I'm never going to watch. Clearly a lot of them were either lying or just have short-term memory loss because more people tuned into this race than last year. So clearly the new package, whether it impressed all those people or not, remains to be seen, but it definitely generated interest. So there you go. NASCAR knew what they were doing on that front. But it's good to see that the first 3 races this year, way better story than they were the first 3 races last year.
Now, what I'm really hoping isn't the case is that a lot of those people tuning in were tuning in because, pack race every week.
Yeah.
Like DW said.
It's like DW's crazy.
Yeah, but I'm really hoping that, because I'll be honest, like I said, 6 out of 10 is about what I said. But for a Vegas race, no offense, Darian, but for a Vegas race, I'd say it's pretty good. Yeah. I mean,
always dissing my track all the time.
Hey, my track is Texas. I mean, you guys got it easy.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it used to be fun.
It used to be really cool, but I mean, I guarantee you, give it 5 years, it'll be better.
Hopefully, they keep telling me that. They keep telling me it'll be better every year, and it looks the same or worse every year. So we'll see.
Well, I mean, hey, you got a big TV. That's a pop.
Yeah.
We do have a huge TV back there, which is actually, I'll be honest, it actually is kind of cool to see that TV. But
hey, at least Vegas has the Neon Garage, man, the best garage in the world.
I can go to a freaking movie theater and see a big TV. I don't need a racetrack to have a giant. Well, all right, let's move on. Anything else about the ratings?
Chicagoland had an all-time great finish last year.
Dang.
That I got.
I do want to say this though. A lot of people had that misconception about the pack racing and all that stuff, but a lot of people were trying to base this package off of the All-Star race, whereas the All-Star race had like somewhere around 100 plus more horsepower less than this. There was a lot less horsepower for the All-Star race, and I think a little bit more downforce. Mm-hmm. I don't know exactly how much, but I just know that the All-Star race had a lot less horsepower. Therefore, they literally were in a pack. I know that because I was there, and it was the most lit mile-and-a-half race I've ever watched.
Again, I think the root problem at this point goes to TV providers, because you notice at the end of last year we really didn't have as much negativity. I grant there was better racing, but at the same time they were more realistic, but also had better coverage. Whereas I just think I've said it since last year. I think the biggest problem with the start of the year, granted the racing wasn't as good last year at the start of the year, but mostly is Fox. I think if they're not pushing that whole, this is the greatest thing ever, and we're going to have pack racing every week. If you like this Daytona 500, I swear you're going to love the rest of the year, because this is what it's like every week. It's like,
if you like the Daytona 500, you won't believe Martinsville.
Oh, can you imagine pack racing at Martinsville, 4 wide into the Clint Boyer doesn't like that. But yeah, I mean, at this point, you just got to sort of take it what it is. So things are up. That's a good thing. Hopefully that they came more for the racing they saw rather than the racing they were told they were going to see. And I guess, again, my litmus test for this is, okay, we got one pure increase in ratings. That's good. It's a good start. Now we need increases on FS1 and NBC Sports Network, because if you can get the ones in the cable where less people are watching, you can still increase with those, then you know it is a definitive gain. Whereas, like, you know, because again, I used to look a lot at TV ratings on J-Ski, rest in peace, and in 2008, the start of the year actually increased in TV ratings. They went down as soon as they went on cable, and they never recovered.
Mm-hmm.
So, and same with 2015. 2015, the first 5 races of the year had huge gains compared to 2014. And then once they went on FS1, dead the rest of the year, lowest ever at that point. That's my litmus test. We've got through the first barrier. Second one is the cable ones, and then the third ones, in my opinion, is after that first off weekend. Do we keep that going? So 1 down, 2 to go. That's the way I put it. And I'm thinking so far, so good.
Yeah.
All right. So for the next topic, well, I only have this because at the time the podcast was supposed to be on my channel, but you know, my internet. So Fastenal flagged my video. They flagged my video.
Fastenal?
Fastener or wait, is it Fastenal or Fastenal?
The tool company?
Yeah. They flagged my Bad Seasons Ricky Stenhouse Jr. video.
Oh.
They literally went in, and someone from that company obviously saw the video and was like, "Hey, we need to take this video down," and they flagged it. So I don't know. Like I don't know what to say, man. So now I have a copyright strike, but it's whatever. But
they throttled your internet.
Yeah, that's probably what happened. Yeah, they saw that. If you've seen the video, maybe you could say I had it coming, because I actually mocked one of their commercials in there towards the end.
Oh.
So they probably saw that, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna flag this. We're gonna take this down." So yeah, I guess they saw that I had content on there from their YouTube channel. By the way, they're on YouTube. I'm just gonna leave that there. And they saw that and they flagged it. So I decided to curse them, and they're never gonna have success ever in NASCAR again. So, so I just say that.
You've done it now.
So yeah, you done been cursed by Black Flags Matter. Anyways, Kyle Busch, he re-signed this week with Joe Gibbs Racing. Yeah, like
seriously.
Add that to the list of biggest surprises that never.
Yeah, I mean, biggest surprises.
You tell me next, man. The sky is blue. The sun will come up tomorrow. Man, I'm riveted on the edge of my seat.
When asked,
Busch returning, tune in next week.
Yeah. I mean, up to that point, he was technically the hottest, free agent on the market. But I mean, it was a foregone conclusion. Even Jeff Gluck, when we had him on a couple of weeks back, even said it's basically a done deal. Now it's official. When asked if he had talked with any other teams, he basically was like, "No, I just resigned." Like that's it. Like, no, I don't want to be anywhere else. So it seems like he's going to be locked in there for the rest of his career. So I have to ask, also coming off a weekend where he almost swept. So this begs the question, with the equipment he's been running in and with the partnership with what are they called? Mars Incorporated?
Yeah. Mars.
Okay, Mars. Yeah. With Mars pretty much locked up. I mean, do you guys really think the sky's the limit for Kyle Busch to possibly become one of the 10 greatest drivers of all time?
Yeah, he's 30.
Wait, he already isn't.
Yeah. He's
Actually,
old,
yeah,
and he's on the all-time win list.
Well, Vargas, to answer your question, I ran a poll last week asking, is Kyle Busch a top 10 driver? And 78% said yes, while 22% said no.
That sounds about right.
And
those are just people that don't like Kyle Busch.
That's what I'm saying.
Those are just the same people that say Kyle Busch is a meanie bobini. Like,
pretty much.
Like,
Carl,
he's good. He's one of the best drivers that there ever has been. Like, end of story. Like, yeah. I mean, there was a point where I was a Kyle Busch hater, but when I started moving up in the sport and started actually being in the sport, and I kind of realized the magnitude of how good he is, like the fan in me stopped being that, and the driver and the realist in me was like, holy cow, this dude is badass. Like,
oh, yeah, most certainly. I mean, my whole thing is, fans, the whole argument with that is, I'm just looking at the Cup Series. Like, I mean, I'm not counting Xfinity or the Truck Series and stuff. Yeah, I mean, but I'm like, all right, fine. If we just count the Cup Series, I mean, over 50 career wins, 51, I think, right? Yeah. 51 career wins. He's 11th on the all-times win list. If he gets 3 more, he's going to tie Lee Petty, and he's going to basically be in the top 10. And, one championship, I mean, you can make the argument. I mean, fans are always going to make the argument, well, that doesn't count. Well, I mean, he followed NASCAR's guidelines to win the title, and he won the title. And I mean,
NASCAR than it is on Kyle Busch. And I'm someone who's not a Kyle Busch fan in any way, but
yeah.
I don't blame Kyle Busch whatsoever for that. I blame NASCAR for not having the foresight.
I mean, how can you blame Kyle Busch though? I mean, he wasn't supposed to get hurt, or I mean, he wasn't.
I'll put it like this: the caution comes out at Talladega, 300 feet further. Dale Jr. wins that race and is in the championship instead of Kyle Busch, and then fans would love the system. So
yeah.
And I'm a Dale Jr. fan, and I'm saying that.
Yeah, basically. But I mean, in my mind, he's already a top 10, and I'll make the argument here right now. If you add in Xfinity and trucks, he's already top 5. If we're gonna add all the things,
because it's so incomparable with different eras and different careers. That's why if you look at Xfinity and truck, he's the best driver ever in both of them. Like, I don't think there's an argument whatsoever. But I'm looking right here at the all-time win list. It's Athlon, so I think it's only gonna show like the top. I don't know, top. Okay, so it's about the top 20 or so. Okay, so yeah, I mean he's got a long way, but
let's think about how hard it is to win a Cup race. Period.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Homeboy's won 51 of them,
mm-hmm.
and then has won 51 truck races. 52?
Or 52 now. 52 because he won
And
Vegas.
then he has, what is it, 80 something?
94, I believe.
God bless America.
Yeah.
So is he one of the best drivers ever? Yeah, in my opinion.
So would you put him in the top 5 all time?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's two people on the panel.
Think about this. Hang on a second. Time out. Think about this. When any other Cup driver goes to the Xfinity Series, you don't say, "Oh, we know who the winner is."
True.
But when Kyle Busch does, you say, "Oh, we know who's winning."
See, I thought I was one of the bigger Kyle Busch record supporters. Like, I made a whole video this week where I said Kyle Busch has the potential to be on NASCAR's Mount Rushmore by the end of his career, and I thought I was pushing it. But right now, I'd put him like 7th or 8th all time, arguably.
I shouldn't say he is top 5, but he's
he has
in
the
the running
potential.
to be.
See, again, that's why I won't say flat out whether or not I think he is, like, do I think he is in the top 5? Hell no. No, not right now, because there's still so much of his career to go. I mean, if you look at, certain drivers early in their careers, the ones that come to mind for me are Greg Biffle, Dale Jr., and Ryan Newman. All of those drivers are talented drivers. Early in their career, they were on pace to, Ryan Newman after 3 years was. Yeah, well, no, I'm saying after 3 years, he had 2 wins, 8 wins, 2 wins. So he had I believe, so he had 12 wins. He was on pace to get 4 wins a year. Didn't really pan out. Greg Biffle, I mean, he had a 5-win season. You look at Dale Jr., he was the 4th best driver in the early 2000s behind Stewart, Johnson, and Gordon. Didn't pan out as being an all-time great career. So I don't think Kyle Busch is going to have a huge fall off. But what I'm saying is, he's got a good 10 to 15 years left in NASCAR. Whether he wants to stay in Cup with all of that or not, so be it. I still think he has at least 10 years left in Cup. So after that's all said and done, I'll start judging where he ranks on that. But I mean, if I'm looking right now, Richard Petty, David Pearson, Jeff Gordon, Darrell Waltrip, Bobby Allison, Jimmy Johnson, Cale Yarborough, and Dale Earnhardt definitively for me are ahead of him.
I agree.
I think then you can put him in the same category as guys like Rusty Wallace, Lee Petty, Ned Jarrett, Junior Johnson, Tony Stewart. I think you can put him in the same category as them.
And I would put him ahead of most of those guys so far, but I agree with you. I think that sums it up. I think he's right now 7th or 8th, but I do agree he has the potential to get up there with guys like Jeff Gordon. Jeff Gordon's considered top 3 or top 4. I think Kyle Busch could get there. I don't know that he will, but he'll be close.
What I want to bring up too is, if we're judging people in a vacuum and what potential too, then we could judge, well, how much better would a Dale Earnhardt have been in his career? Would he have gotten 12 to 20 more wins in his career? If we're looking like Ned Jarrett, he retired early. Would he have done better in his career, had he not? So that's why I don't want to get in the potential category too much. Potentially, yes, he has the chance of being top 5, but if we're looking at potential for one guy, we got to look for everybody. So I'm just looking purely at Cup statistics, which, by the way, Athlon Sports, get your crap together. You spelled Busch wrong. You spelled it like president, not the driver. Get with the program, people.
That's what I do.
Yeah, you call it Darian with your poor grammatical errors. I'm going to share a screen really quick. This is a like, what? Where's it at? See, can you tell I haven't done this in a while? I forgot where the share screen button was.
It's on the side. It's on the side.
I know where it's at. I'm just like, now I do. I see it. Okay, I'm sharing the screen. All right. Is it on me?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. What the heck? Seriously?
Kyle Busch.
I think he's W.
It's just you see a number 18 Camry roll up. It's just a fern in the driver's seat.
Man, you gotta think this man is related to W or something.
Hey, okay, guys, I just want to point this out. So I am doing this podcast from a race shop, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, we're going on a trip.
This is what I just heard. That's a race car.
Oh, nice.
I like this behind-the-scenes shop tour.
Behind the scenes, yo.
Here's the Lombard Mobile.
Hey.
Yep. He's gonna be racing that this weekend at Irwindale, actually. So.
Ooh.
Yes, I am so full of myself.
It's loud out there. Sorry.
That was
This place is amazing. I wish there's living quarters upstairs. I wish I lived there.
I guess to conclude the Busch topic, 93 Xfinity wins, 53 truck wins, and 51 Cup Series wins. Adding all those up, you get 197 total wins. So he's and he still has a long way to go. So looking forward to it. Another thing, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. keeps pissing people off. Who would have known? A couple weeks back, who would have thought? A couple weeks back, he got into it with the Truex, which I feel like that was just Truex, just more or less just complaining, just being typical Truex. But this week, last weekend, he pissed off Eric Jones, man. Eric Jones said on the radio, like, "Oh, this, dumb MF," or like something like that, something along the lines of that. He was cussing on the radio though. Fox had played it, and whoa.
That was a race car.
Yeah, no, nice. But yeah,
then you're excused.
Sorry. Yeah, I had some tacos.
No, but Fox, they had played it and stuff, and they basically like, "Oh, we apologize for the language and all that stuff." But Eric Jones was not pleased, and even Alex Bowman even said a few words on the radio there.
No.
Yeah, so yeah, Alex Bowman, yeah, like he says everything every week, it seems like. But should we be concerned here? Is this a concern here where this might be a little week-to-week thing, possibly? Or
I don't really think it's a big issue. I do think it's interesting that like we're actually seeing like Fox and like major NASCAR media people kind of run with this. Like I see segments now where it's like, is Ricky Stenhouse a problem?
That's
like,
what I'm saying. I feel like they're instigating it more.
Yeah, they're instigating it. I feel like it's unfair of them to pick on him like that. I at the end of the day, Stenhouse, he didn't do anything wrong in my opinion during the Truex deal last week. I didn't see anything wrong. This week with Eric Jones, it was just two guys racing hard earlier in the race than they probably needed to be racing hard. There was one bit where Stenhouse basically ran Jones. Like he tried to, like Jones was already on the apron on the front stretch, and Stenhouse went onto the apron with them. I'm like, whoa, okay, it's like lap 70. What are you doing, Stenhouse? Like that was dumb. But I don't know. He finished 6th in the race. Roush looks a little quicker this year, so I don't know. I don't think it's gonna be a huge deal, but we'll see.
Here's my take. Stenhouse is, people are getting mad at Stenhouse for racing, doing his job. He's being paid to go out there and give his team the best possible finish that he can. Now, granted, it's going to piss people off along the way. You know who else pissed off people along the way?
Everyone.
So, I mean, it's going to happen. There's going to be times where he's going to piss people off. I mean, look at Jimmy Johnson. He pissed a lot of people off in Daytona this year. A lot of people off.
Yeah.
So
he's just a scrub. He shouldn't be racing at all.
Yeah, Leach.
But, I mean, Stenhouse is doing his job. He's racing and delivering his team the best finishes possible. I mean, he finished 6th this weekend and in the quote-unquote decline of Roush. So, I mean, yeah, he's being aggressive, but he's doing his job.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And as long as, like last year at Daytona, I think he got a little bit of an unfair rap for that. There was one wreck.
Yeah, I agree.
When he wrecked Kyle Busch at that one point in the race, I was like, okay, that was Stenhouse doing, I don't know what he was doing there. But there was a couple other incidents that I didn't think were all his fault. I think people just wanted to pile on him because it's easy to. It's just easy to pile on because he doesn't have a huge fan base to come out and defend him. You start piling on Jimmy Johnson, you start piling on Kyle Busch or anybody else, a lot of other people at least, they'll have a lot of fans that come out and immediately start defending them, so it becomes a war. You go after Stenhouse.
If you piled on Junior.
For sure. You go after Stenhouse, it's like, who's going to really defend him? I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's the way it is. But I do think he's getting a little bit of an unfair shake so far.
I feel like it's that instance where, like, Fox is just catching up with the dead meme, right? It's like you see all these old media sources, and it's like last year in August and through October they're putting Ugandan knuckles up. Like
it's like when you go on Facebook and see your grandma share a bad luck Brian meme.
Yeah, and I feel like Fox Sports is doing that with the Stenhouse meme. Like the Stenhouse meme was funny. Like Carnation put a few good ones on there, and so did Keplinger. Back in July of 2018, it's like It's March of 2019. Stenhouse, for the most part, has been pretty clean. He got a complainer mad. Okay, yeah, Truex gets mad at people a lot. That happens, you know. He gets animated. But it's like, when they're putting these things like, is he going too far, or this, that, or it's like, why would Stenhouse even do that? And it's like, come on, guys. Stop trying to push this. It's a dumb narrative. Get over it.
All right. Yeah, I personally don't think there's any sort of problems here, but it'll be interesting when we go to the, well, we can't call them plate tracks anymore. We don't have restrictor plates, so
they're plates.
Yeah, all right, just super speedways. Yeah, there you go. So really quick, doing a really quick promotion here. Give me a second.
Promotion.
All right, so yeah, the NASCAR Fantasy League. We have to do an update. We're going to be doing this every week.
The NASCAR Weekly Podcast Fantasy League.
Yeah, the NASCAR Weekly Podcast Fantasy League, by the way. So Larson Line 42 still leading. That's actually my mom, guys. She's in second.
She's kicking our butt.
She's in second? What?
Yeah, I got her into it for Daytona, and let me tell you, she's really good. She's actually really good at it.
Are you okay?
I'm just laughing because there's like 100 people in this league, and she's in second. That's not a fluke.
No, she's not. I don't know.
She needs her own YouTube channel. My God.
Yeah, she's killing all of us right now. So some notable people in this league. Oak Assassin is in 5th right now. Let's see.
I had a terrible week last week, so yeah.
Yeah, Racing Fan for Life 18, 31st, Cody H 31st. Oh, we got a 3-way tie between 3 YouTubers, Racing Fan for Life 18, Cody H Gaming, and N2SC4. There's your boy, Black Flags Matter, in 37th. MDK's 42nd. Oh, the NASCAR Weekly Podcast mod. He's moved up a little bit. He's in 47th. And there's the iceberg.
I'm on the first page.
Woo-hoo! He's on the first page.
Darn and first pagers.
We're going to find Eric on the second page somewhere. Damn, where are you at? Where you at, bro?
63rd.
Go on the second page.
Oh, there he is. He's right there. He's in 63rd. And, well, 60,000 K right there, 75th, if you remember that meme. Michael Waltrip Racing got off to a good start, running right where they should be in 92nd. Yeah, so basically that's it. So the NASCAR Weekly Podcast Fantasy League, it's already too late to join. The limit is 100 per league. So if somebody drops out, one of you guys just jump right on in it. And
Xfinity League with it.
Yeah. And the points. So here's the points right now after the not after the playoffs, but these are playoff standings if the playoffs were to start after 3 races. So here we go. Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin, and Brad Keselowski already have their spots locked in. So Kevin Harvick's 4th, Kyle Busch is 5th, Kyle Larson in 6th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in 7th, Eric Jones in 8th, Martin Truex Jr. Oh, so they're both tied for 8th. Kurt Busch in 10th, really big surprise to me. Eric Amarola is in 11th, Alex Bowman 12th, Clint Boyer 13th, Chase Elliott 14th, Ryan Blaney 15th, and rounding out 16th is William Byron already up there. So already improved.
I got the rest of 17 through 30 on my phone.
Go ahead.
Johnson 17th, Suarez 18th, Newman 19th, 20th, Paul Menard. Now here's something interesting. We all were talking about how much better like the RCR guys were doing, you know?
Yeah, in practice.
Yeah, in practice.
Well, like Hemrick, right? Like, where would you think Hemrick would be if you're not looking?
At least in the top 20.
I'd say 25th.
He is 29th in points.
Wait, hold on. Let me guess. Bubba's in 30th, isn't he?
Yes. You want to hear the 3 drivers ahead of him in 26th through 28th?
Go ahead.
Michael McDowell is 26th in points. David Reagan is 27th. And Corey LaJoie is tied with him. All ahead of Hemrick and
we hit an all-time low here. Oh.
My chest hurts.
Oh, good old Bubby Watts in 30th right there.
DiBenedetto's 24th. DiBenedetto's 24th.
Hey, good for him. Good for him, though, man. But my goodness, RCR. Where's Austin Dillon again?
He is in 21st, and Ty Dillon's 22nd.
I mean, in the words of Allen Iverson, I mean, we talking about practice, man. I mean, practice. I mean, for the past couple of weeks, everyone was like, oh, RCR, man, they're coming back, man. Look at him. Did you see them in practice? He was first in practice and qualifying. He was in the top 5 in practice. And where is he in the race? Like, mid-20s.
Yeah.
That's why I never care about practice, especially, like, even when I race. It's like, I remember my last race I did. One of the last races I did in late model, I was like 9th on the board, and I got out of the car, and my crew chief was like, "Why are you out of the car?" He said, and I told him, I said, "The car's perfect, don't touch it."
And did he not believe you with the 9th on the board? Was he expecting more?
He didn't believe me, but then we went out and won the race, so I was okay.
That's how you win points.
I mean, I know we're 3 races in, but I mean, shout out to Chip Ganassi Racing there. That one team was awful last year, no doubt. And Kurt Busch and that team seem to have it figured it out. I mean, both their cars inside the top 10. Oh, it's pretty cool.
Kurt Busch has 2 top 5s in a row. Like, I expect him to make the playoffs this year, but I thought he'd sneak in. I know he's still 10th in points and it's early, a lot could happen, but Kurt Busch, is it possible that he's better in this Chevy than he was in Stewart Haas equipment last year? Like,
I don't know. I don't know if I'd go that far.
I won't jump on it yet.
Okay.
You know, I mean, you got to look at Vegas also. You know, he wasn't up front at the very beginning. He wasn't up front for a lot of the race. He did stay out, and those tires proved to be equal to the new tires, and then he kind of just stayed. He didn't really fall back. He didn't really gain. So, I mean, I think that Vegas one's a little bit tough to compare. I'm interested to see how it shakes out when they go to Vegas and Fontana. I mean, not Vegas. When they go to Phoenix and Fontana and Martinsville. You know, totally different racetracks. So.
For sure. Who's the biggest disappointment not in there right now? I'm gonna say Suarez right here because I mean his fans, they got on me last year.
I'm saying
that one.
I'm saying Hemrick. I was a little bit surprised to hear how far back he is. That's a little bit of a disappointment because I mean he's always a really good guy, and I always talk whenever I see him. But man, that's crazy. He's always been such a threat, and now it's like so weird to hear like he's out of like the top 20.
Well, welcome to the Cup Series, Hemrick.
to defend Suarez though, I think he ran well at Daytona, had a top 10 car, and then was just caught up in that first big wreck. I think that hurt his points. I think that hurt a few guys' points, including DiBenedetto. Versus then you see Suarez, he was top 10. Well, I don't think he didn't finish top 10 at Vegas, but he was top 10 at Atlanta. So he's run a little bit better. I still think he makes the playoffs, but it's going to be tough. He can't mess around. He's 18th in points now. He can't mess around for too long.
That's true. I mean, we're still seeing the effects of the unit right now. The unit, as in that big first crash. That wasn't the big one. That was the unit.
The unit.
It was an absolute unit. And,
I like that.
We're still seeing the effects of it, I think. You know, there's a lot of really good cars who were caught up in it who really haven't been able to really recover. But it's still really early in the season, so I think you'll see some people recover here soon.
See, I'd say if even with how bad he's been the last few years, I still can't see how we can say that the biggest disappointment that isn't in that top 16, even though it's only 3 races. Granted, I understand that. Still, Jimmy Johnson.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
it's just
mind-boggling.
It's
very
hard
odd
to see it. It hurts kind of to see it. And for so long, it's kind of funny. It's like I kind of liken it to Star Wars fans. For so long, we wanted George Lucas to just stop with this crap and get out. Then he's out of it, and it's like, crap, we didn't realize it'd be like this bad after the fact. It's the same way with Johnson. Like for a long time, I'm like, gosh, can Johnson just like have a winless year already or something? Like, can Johnson not do well? And it's like it happens. I'm like, this is actually painful to watch.
Yeah.
Like, he shouldn't be this bad. This is like seeing the 48 and not be able to crack the top 10 more often than not. It just doesn't feel right.
I mean, it's one thing that he's not in the playoffs, but then when it's a 16-person playoff, that's like, wow. It's really, I mean, talk about the fall from grace, man. Ugh.
Yeah.
The concerning thing is the fact that, I mean, it'd be one thing if like all the Hendrick cars were struggling, and they all are. None of them are in the top 10, so they are all struggling a little bit. But he's obviously struggling the worst. Like,
Yeah.
theoretically, he should at least be the best of the worst. You know what I'm saying? Like, he should be better than at least everyone, maybe except Chase Elliott. Like, you know, but
Should be better than Bowman and Byron.
for sure. And he's not. At some point, we're gonna have to figure out if it might come down to it's a Jimmy Johnson thing. Now, I still think it's his rookie crew chief. That's why I picked him not making the playoffs this year. I said he'd finish right there in 17th. So far, 3 races in, I'm looking perfect on that prediction. It's very early. He's probably gonna make the playoffs and make me look like a fool.
I think he'll find a way.
I can tell you right now, Noah Gregson's just sitting there looking like, ooh, he's not doing too good. Johnson isn't doing too good, y'all. Like, I'm here.
Gregson's not doing too well either.
Hey, he finished third.
Because like the 3 leaders wrecked in front of him.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll going back to if it's Johnson or if it's his crew chief. I'll say this: if we get to Dover, let's say, and William Byron is mopping the floor with Jimmy Johnson, I think we know where the problem really has been lying, and it's in if Johnson's doing bad at Dover and Byron's doing better, I think it shows the deterioration of the driver. If it's just about the same, then I think we still have an argument. But if it's like Martin, that's the litmus test for Johnson, I think. Martinsville, Texas, and Dover.
Well, if Byron outruns him, you could just point to Chad Knaus's importance, because I think the biggest thing here is last year Knaus and Johnson missed it, I think, with the Camaro. This year Johnson's working with a guy who has no Cup experience, and at least Chad Knaus has had a year with the Camaro, and he is still Chad Knaus. I mean, the guy's pretty good at skirting the rules and getting the most out of whatever car he's setting up. So it could just, what we could end up seeing here, if William Byron, who's currently in the top 16, if Byron has a breakout year, maybe gets in the top 10 in points, maybe contends for some wins. I don't want to get ahead of myself. This is blasphemous what I'm about to say, so I don't really want to say it because I don't believe it. But this is something we could start saying. Is Chad Knaus more responsible for those 7 championships than Jimmy Johnson? Is that something that we could start talking about in a few months? I don't think so, but I'm just saying. Say right now, William Byron wins 3 races this year, makes the playoffs, and Jimmy Johnson goes winless and is like 18th.
How dare you?
I'm just saying.
How dare you?
I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm saying if that does happen, is that a fair argument? That's the reason I don't want to say, because it hasn't happened yet. We shouldn't even be talking about. But
it brings up that argument. Nowadays, is it more the car or the driver? I mean, I know back in like 2010, 2011, Dale Jr. got in some hot water because he said that nowadays it's more car.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have other people who are like, it's me, it's the driver. So
yeah.
I think I'm going to be really honest. It is a lot of car now. You know, I'm going to say this from the driver's standpoint. You know, when in the position that I was in last year, and you compare to some teams who show up with some very substantial stuff, it's very tough. And I mean, you look at Ruben Garcia, who is one of the better drivers I've ever met, and I say that very honestly, and he struggles. That shows a little bit of something, in my opinion. And then same thing with, like, suddenly you see Matt DiBenedetto running almost in the top 20 in points. That has a little bit of something as well. Now you see Alex Bowman, who was a nobody 4 years ago, is suddenly a winning, capable driver.
Rags to riches there, my boy.
I'm just saying it's a lot more of car than people want it to be. And especially with this package, it is a lot of car now.
I think, yeah. Well,
it takes a lot of smarts and it takes a lot of skill, but equipment matters, and it matters big time.
I agree with what you're saying. Actually, I agree, especially with your point about the current aero package for the Cup side. I think that is going to lean it more towards the car. Now, I can't speak to this because I'm not a driver, so obviously I'd say your argument definitely has more weight behind it. But at least as far as the Cup size is concerned, observations I typically make is, I'd say typically it's 60 to 70% driver, 30 to 40% car, in my opinion, because obviously.
Oh yeah, the best driver, the cream of the crop will still rise. The cream of the crop will still rise, especially in the Cup Series. I mean, that's why Harvick and Kyle Busch are still so good.
I just think a large part of what makes drivers so valuable to a team or to a car isn't necessarily all what they do on the track, it's what they do off the track as well. I just look at how when Roush Fenway lost Matt Kenseth and Carl Edwards, they fell off a cliff. And when they joined Joe Gibbs Racing, that team, they became the strongest team in the Cup Series for 2 or 3 years there. And versus like this year, they put Kurt Busch in that one car with Kyle Larson. Both of them are running better than they did last year. Specifically, Kurt Busch is making that one car look really sexy. Roush Fenway put Trevor Bayne and Ricky Stenhouse, they dropped because those are young and experienced guys. And you even see with Eric Jones and Daniel Suarez and Joe Gibbs' equipment last year, only one of their cars made it into the top 10 in points at the end of the year. So Joe Gibbs kind of struggled with all these young guys, and it's not all on the track. It's a little bit of how you communicate, I would say, with your crew chief and with your engineers and stuff like that, how to make the car better. I think that's where driver skill or driver matters. Not always on the track, not like how they lift or all that type of stuff. It's a lot of the prep as well, and it's what they bring to the garage as well.
I don't want it to come off like I say that, driver doesn't matter. Like, driver obviously, like you said, it's easily a 60-40 either way. Mm-hmm. I think in some cases, like Martinsville, it's definitely 70-30 driver and car. Yeah. You have to be up on the wheel. Richmond, Iowa, all these other short tracks, driver is top tier. You look at the plate tracks or the super speedways and the 2-milers and the now probably the 1.5 miles, it's going to take a little bit more car than it is driver. But I agree. Like I mentioned earlier, the cream of the crop is still going to rise no matter who. And that's why you see Brad Keselowski still win at the plate tracks or the super speedways now, because he's still just a really good driver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I think nailed it. Honestly, I think you're right. There are some tracks where driver matters more, but I think you're right. When it comes to super speedways, I think it probably does lean more towards the car versus the driver. But I think people in the chat understand what you're saying there. It's drivers still matter. Obviously, it's NASCAR. Drivers are what you market. But there are some tracks, especially where car can be more important, and obviously equipment is important too. You can put you put Matt Kenseth in that 6 car last year. His average finish was like 18th. He had a couple good races, but his average finish was still 18th. That's not what you expect. So I think that was good to hear. I also want to say, I assume we're getting close to the end of the show, but we have 240 people still watching right now, and only half that number of likes. We need more likes on this video, y'all.
Click the like button.
I was about to do that too. That's twice. People are stealing my thunder, man.
I do want to say thank you to everybody who is watching, though. It's really cool to see that. Like, I'm very new to the whole NASCAR YouTube community because I've just kind of been kind of thrown into it recently with kind of becoming very good friends with Joseph and now talking to Darian. So all the support that I've recently gotten from the YouTube side, I'm so used to the driver's side and the Instagram somewhat side, but to see all the support from YouTube as well, that's pretty cool. So thank you guys all.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. It's always, I know the community, like viewers and stuff, love when we are able to get people kind of who are in the industry, in the racing world. It provides a much more in-depth perspective than I think what a lot of fans see just watching the race on Fox or on NBC. Like you get a bland answers to a lot of questions. So yeah, thanks for coming on. And just as I said that, we got over 160 likes, it looks like. So that's looking good, trending in the right direction. Good job, y'all.
All right, so in other news, we have a few more things to talk about here before we get into picks.
Let's move kind of quick.
All right. We'll move quickly. Champions Week has been moved to the home of Danny B. Good old Nashville, Tennessee there.
Oh, wait,
so
it's
yeah.
It was actually moved?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know if they actually announced it yet or not.
Yeah, no, they announced it today. It's been here in Vegas since 2008, I believe. Or 2009, somewhere around there. Honestly, it was the right thing to do. Vegas is not NASCAR country, man. Nashville, Tennessee, you have way more fans out there. I believe they're also going to open it up to the public, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I believe they are going to do that. Yeah, and I hope that's true because it seems like a no-brainer. But yeah, what are your guys' thoughts?
Makes sense.
Go ahead.
I was literally just going to say it makes sense. It's NASCAR country. Las Vegas has a NASCAR fan base, has the entertainment, but it's not really a hotbed, I would say, compared to Nashville at least.
Right.
I can't wait until they start trying to do burnouts in the snow.
Yes, that'd be cool. I'm happy with that, but I'm also a little bit, I knew NASCAR being in the awards being in Vegas was kind of meant to a lukewarm reaction. It is cool to see NASCAR in kind of a different demographic than it usually is, especially in Vegas. Vegas is a totally different area from what NASCAR is. But, going back to Memphis, it's right now it's the right move. I think it's going to be really good.
Well, and the thing I'm wondering here is, does this in any way mean that down the road, this could mean something better for the fairgrounds. I know that there's been a lot going on with the Nashville Fairgrounds, a lot of news going on with that. Could it mean that 10 years down the road we have, a cup race there maybe or something, or further down the road maybe? I think it'll take a while to build that back up, but that's what I'm wondering, like the stuff that this could imply into the future.
Well, remember for years the banquet was in New York, and remember the whole deal that Donald Trump actually tried to have a track built there because of that.
Best track, no track would be better.
Yeah, it's like he tried doing that in the early 2000s, and
I'd love, of course, but I don't think we'll get that in New York City.
Yeah.
Did you see the stuff though? Speaking of scheduling, did you see some of the rumors there?
I was about to say that. Yeah. So NASCAR is evaluating a change to the start of 2020, which means that you could see the West Coast swing right after the Daytona 500. So Vegas would be the second race. ISM would be the third, and Fontana would be the fourth. But there's also been some rumors that they might. Maybe this is just a rumor. They might have Infineon as the second race, possibly, and that'll be sort of the lead-in to the West Coast swing. Maybe. What do you guys think about that?
The way I'm thinking about it is, so there's already people talking about using the Kansas Roval. They've done stuff to renovate that, and if you're looking at spacing them out, sort of like the plate tracks, I think the plate tracks are pretty well spaced out in the schedule, so that you don't get it oversaturated too much. If you're looking like if Sonoma's like the 5th race of the year, then you have like maybe a Kansas Roval race as the 11th race, and then you get Watkins Glen as the 22nd, and then the Roval at Charlotte right after it. It would make sense to evenly space them out. Now, personally, I think they should get other road course tracks. I'd love to see Circuit of the Americas on there. I know a lot of people say it would be a bad race, but
I'd have to adjust it. But yeah.
So I could see that happening, but I just love that picture we saw of Sonoma of like a week or two ago. There's it all green. It's like it looks really good that way. Let's be awesome. That. It's like it looks dead and drab when they're racing there,
Right. So the real question is, where is Atlanta going to be? Personally, it would be awesome to have a summer race there with that track being the way it is and the racing in the summertime. Let's do it.
No, because I mean, if you're looking for a ratings one, it's too hot, and if you do night races, those aren't better for ratings. I think what they're going to do is they're going to move it to be right before, basically to where it almost was in the mid and early 2000s. They're going to put it probably as the 4th or 5th race of the year, and they're probably going to have it right before Martinsville, honestly, if the rumor is true.
I'd be fine with that. I mean, I've always. The move from going from Daytona to Atlanta hasn't been very, in my opinion, it's kind of been a weird race in the schedule. It's everyone calls it like everyone calls it the start to the regular season, but when in reality, it seems like it's just a weird one-off almost. It's never, that race is always just very weird. I don't know why. I've always had that weird feel whenever I watch Atlanta, but I feel like having it more in the middle of the season will kind of feel a little bit more right. And plus, a lot of the best Atlanta moments were kind of later in the year.
Mm-hmm. All right. So for our finale on this podcast, let's get into some ISM picks. We are going to ISM.
I want to do a quick thing. Is it EMP Lemon is his name?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Do that really quick.
Awesome video. If you can get through the first 2 minutes of it, you'll love it. The first 2 minutes, he just basically lists every stereotype about NASCAR, and it's like, okay, we get it. NASCAR fans used to be all rednecks. We get it, which I don't have anything against rednecks. It's white trash. They're terrible. But man, you see, like those people that have strollers with using Goodyear tires, those are rednecks. So that's freaking awesome.
That's resourcefulness.
Yes, and it is recycling. It is great. NASCAR's been going green forever. We recycle tires, lug nuts, whatever. Yeah. I can make a necklace out of lug nuts if I wanted. But he made this awesome video. And funny enough, on the side here that I look at the chat on my phone. So if I'm looking down, that's why. The first thing recommended is his video. And it's there will never ever be another driver like Dale Earnhardt. And while he's not NASCAR channel. He's a NASCAR fan. It is a very well put together video. He knows what he's talking about. He would drive Danny a little crazy because he says driving a NASCAR. So watching that knife, just putting it in there a little bit. It's a really well made video, and I think it really would show a lot of younger fans just how important Earnhardt was and still is to the sport today. So after this, check that out. And NASCAR Weekly Podcast Mod, I have checked Twitter. It doesn't mean I have to check every time.
And Corvette Racing 48 says we should have him on the podcast. We should reach out to him. He might be interested.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I'm on his channel, see if his email open.
I mean, I'll be honest. You know, being NASCAR YouTubers, I know only a certain amount of people are interested in the sport. So we're not going to have, like, let's say, you know, the 300,000 subscribers or 400, man, you know, like necessarily. But to see someone with that big of a platform talk about NASCAR that way, it was pretty awesome. It's a big deal. It's pretty awesome.
It's funny that you mentioned it because I actually watched it yesterday, and that was it was very well put together, and you know. It wasn't it wasn't biased in any way. It was just telling the facts, and I really enjoyed that. It was just a straight, you know, told everything it needed to say.
Right, straight into the point, and you know, also basically talked about not only Dale Earnhardt, but like, you know, the history about how NASCAR was created, and you know how the racing at the plate tracks had changed over the years, you know, because of certain accidents and stuff like that. So, you know, it was really put together. So, shout out to him. All right, so now let's get down to it, guys. The most important part of the show, picks time, ISM. So, Vargas, how we do it on here is we do who's gonna suck first, our underdog picks, our dark horse picks second, and then rounding out three, we do winners picks. So let's get right into it. So Eric, start us off. Who's gonna suck?
Oh shoot! Oh, gosh, I have to start off. Okay, who is gonna suck this week?
Not ready, Jared. No, it's fine.
I wasn't ready, actually. I had my other two prepared. I wasn't quite prepared for this one yet. I was hoping I'd be called on to go last.
Sorry, I put you on the spot.
That is 100% fine.
I'm going last. You'll see why towards the end. You'll see.
Okay. I think this is. I'm gonna say Kevin Harvick, and I know that doesn't make any sense because this is his best track, or historically his best track. I don't think he's gonna suck and like run 15th or 20th. I think he's gonna run 8th to 10th. Or I think that's where he's going to at least finish. I don't know. That team's or Stewart-Haas Racing in general doesn't look as good as they were last year so far. I think right now they're the second best forward team, probably the third best team overall. I think Kevin Harvick, we always are used to seeing him run top 3 at Harvick. I think he'll be like 8th. So I don't know if that counts. I just wanted to come up with one where I had some stats to back it up. I could have just said Bubba Wallace, but I didn't want to be that guy.
Oh, so, that's easy. That's every week. Every week. Now it's playing.
All right, I will put one that I think people would find a little shocking, but I will have stats to back them up. I think Joey Logano is going to suck for his standards this week.
Too hot takes.
Now, I say this. One, if I'm looking right here, I do not see his name on the top 10 average finishes. Now, granted, there's a few people who have less than 5 starts on that average finish list. I will get to them later. So he has an average finish. Let me check really quick on here. It's below 14.2. I should have been ready for this point. But while I look for his average finish, he has 4 straight races of not finishing in the top 10. Now, I don't know about you guys, but for a driver of his caliber, that I think would be considered and well-versed to be put into the kind of sucky category. Yeah, I'm looking at, where is Issam? Yes, 15.5 average finish, which, to put that in perspective, is the same he has it. So he finishes top 10 half the time, but seeing how recently it's been 4 outside the top 10, I think that the numbers and the trends are not in his favor.
Vargas?
So I'm going to go on a limb here because I don't have stats and I wasn't prepared for this. But I'm going to have to say Almirola. And that one may or may not be a surprise to some people. You know, a lot of people are thinking, oh, second year, he's going to come a little bit, have more of a resurgence. You know, Phoenix hasn't always been his best track. You know, he's always shown speed, but I just don't think this will. I don't think this will be a good race for him. That's just a feeling. That's just based on feeling.
He's got the feelings. He's got a good feeling.
That's how I make all my picks, based on my gut.
Yeah.
All right, so my who's gonna suck pick is a no-brainer in my mind. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Here's why. In 12 starts, he only has 1 top 5, 2 top 10s, and an average finish of 20.3 at good old ISM. He is very inconsistent here. He's very hit or miss. And with the start, yeah, I guess I never miss, huh?
I was gonna say it.
Yeah. So with the tremendous start he has had to the season so far through the first 3 races, already inside the top 10 in points, which is a huge improvement compared to last year and compared to the recent years of the of Roush Racing's downfall. I'd say he'll come back to earth here, and also the curse of Black Lives Matter will reign supreme. I don't know if he's if they're running the whole Fastenal.
I think they're on Sunny D
team. Oh, Sunny D. Then all right, then good. Then, yeah, I like Sunny D. Just I don't think Stenhouse is going to do it.
I want really quick. Speaking of Sunny D, before we go on to our dark horse picks, I want Sloppy so bad to make a parody of those old '90s Sunny D commercials where they open the fridge and they're like, "Hey, look, there's milk, purple stuff, OJ. Hey, look, Sunny D." I want to do that. It would be amazing. So,
that reminds me. By the way, the whole esports draft is this weekend at good old ISM, and Sloppy's going to be. I think he'll be drafted. I think it's a no-brainer there. Hopefully by I would prefer Junior Motorsports. You know, being a big Junior fan back in the day. You know, I think that would be pretty cool. But to whatever team picks him, you're getting probably the best all-around driver in all the esports. As far in terms of performance and marketability. So there's that. So good luck to him. All right. So our dark horse picks. Eric, start us off. Who's your dark horse?
All right. My underdog this week. Oh God, I just totally lost it. Who was I gonna pick?
He's stumbling again.
I literally just blanked. I know. So stupid. I'm so bad at this. This is so horrible. One of y'all go. I totally forgot who I picked.
All right.
I'll go. My driver, I'm picking as wait, are you going?
I remember you. Okay, I'll go. William Byron's my dark horse this week. He's in the top 16 points. He's got a new veteran championship caliber crew chief working with him. Last year, I looked this up. He finished in the top 12 in both Phoenix races. So I'm convinced he's gonna have a solid. I think he has a shot at top 5, and maybe even, you never know, shot at the win. Plays the strategy right.
Ditto.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jared.
How Darian feels now.
Dang it.
That's how I felt all night.
So, yep. Byron's mine. Let's see. Yeah, this is where he got his first lap slot, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yes, he did.
So, got some good juju.
My dark horse pick is Chris Buescher. Yeah,
Buescher.
I say that proud. Old CB has been very sporty in the recent years, and that's my argument.
well, hold up. Let me look up some stats to back it up. So, all right, in 6 starts, he has 1 lap led and an average finish of 28.8. So, definitely a dark horse there. Definitely a dark horse.
He's led a lap. That's better than he could say most tracks, probably.
Yeah.
Led more than led in the first 15 races last year.
Think smarter, not harder.
All right, so
back it up. I just said it.
All right, so my dark horse pick is Daniel Suarez. 4 starts, he has 2 top 10s there and an average finish of 17.2. Running in slightly better equipment this year, I think he'll get it done. I could see a top 10 here, and also this week he'll even move up into the playoff standings, in my opinion. So Daniel Suarez, my dark horse pick. All right, so I know it's very surprising sometimes and stuff because like I'm on him sometimes and I'm definitely on Bubba Wallace from time to time. So whenever I say anything positive about them from time to time, people are like, oh, like they're so shocked there.
Orange.
All right, so let's get right into the most important picks of them all. the winners picks. Eric, start us off. Who's gonna win at ISM?
All right, I'm actually prepared for this one. I remembered my pick. It's an easy one to make. Same guy that won this one hit the last time we were at ISM. I think Kyle Busch is going to win. Not just because he's in one of the best cars, not just because he's maybe the best driver in the Cup Series, but also because I think he's a man on a mission this week. You know, according to him, he's probably, of all the drivers in the Cup Series, he's probably the least excited about this new aero package. So I think going to our first race this season where no flat out, no, just hold the wheel straight and turn left. It's a real racetrack by Kyle Busch standards. I think he's going to be a man on a mission. I'll bet he's been literally drooling, waiting for this race. He's like, I get to hit the brakes. I get to lift in a Cup car. He's just been dying to get on the racetrack for this race. I think Kyle Busch is going to be a man on a mission. I think he wins.
9.
What?
9 wins.
Oh,
Kevin Harvick.
I thought you were saying I thought you were speaking German or something.
I know.
Yeah, the end is 9. The end is.
I was like, what does he say?
So, anyway, 9 wins. Kevin Harvick has 9 wins at this track in 32 starts. He has an average finish of 9.3.
That bad?
And that bad. Yeah.
And that's where I said he'd finish this race, so I'm right on his average.
Yeah, but see, Kevin Harvick ain't at his average in his career. Kevin Harvick's, at, in my opinion, the peak of his career, and this is his best track by far. He has 1,595 laps led in 9,965 laps.
Wow.
He is insanely good here. Like, duh.
It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
Harvick. It's good. I'm gonna keep this meme alive. I'll just pick Harvick every week.
So he took my pick, so I'm gonna pick someone else.
No, you can pick the same guy.
My first pick is Harvick, but if I were to pick a second guy, and this will come as a shock to many, Chase Elliott.
Yeah.
He's led a lot of laps there. He's won. I think he won an nationwide race. I might be wrong. But he's always been up front. He's always been in the mix at Phoenix, at ISM. So I think his time might be coming.
Oh yeah, in 6 starts, an average finish of 9.5. Yeah, he's definitely right up there too. Almost won the 2017 one, but exactly. Eric's boy Kenseth there stole it from my man. Yep. His boy right there stole the win from him. All right, so now it's time to my pick. Vargas, if you aren't aware, I've made some pretty good predictions in the past. You know, Chase Elliott's first career win.
he also insisted basically all through last summer that Kyle Larson was going to run away with the championship.
Yeah. I also thought Kyle Larson was going to win the title. So very hit or miss with this. But
I bet you missed that one.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so this guy, in his few starts at ISM, he has an average finish of 10.5. In the first race, in the spring of last year, he was running up front. He was put it away. He was running up front right there. He was running up front. He had led 15 laps, and he ended up finishing 12th. In the second race, he was running mid-pack at first, but they were able to adjust his car, and he was able to get a top 10 here. I think with Chad announced as his crew chief, he'll get the job done. William Byron, first career win at ISM.
I would go nuts.
That would be really awesome. You should have just picked him as your underdog like I did. You can be
I'm going all out. I'm going all out. That's playing it safe there, man. That's playing it safe. I'm going all out. First career win at ISM. For sure.
Okay. Well, that's fun. That's a fun prediction. That's one people can get excited about. Can get people like, ooh, perk their ears up. Did he say William Byron's going to win?
Yeah, William Byron.
All right, I like it. This is entertainment.
I mean, just that team he was on last year. I mean, he had last year obviously wasn't the best. And then his crew chief, he has a much better crew chief this year in Canals. I feel like he'll get the job done this year. First win for Willie B. And if he wins, I'll make another video like I did that Chase Elliott one. So look out for that.
Yeah, the one where it's like, Black Lives Matter. I was right.
Do another one there.
I agree with Flying Gator. We are kind of sleeping on Bowman. The 88 team has been good at ISM since about, I'd say 2013, ever since the Gen 6 came in. So that's definitely a good pick too. Bowman's pretty good at flat tracks for the most part. At least the small flat tracks.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess that about wraps it up, doesn't it, guys?
Yeah.
I think we got everything.
I think I wanted to give our guest a chance to talk about some of his upcoming stuff because for those of you in the chat who don't know, Ryan Vargas is a very active up-and-coming driver in the NASCAR series. He's a NASCAR Next member. Ryan, what kind of stuff, what's coming up for you?
A lot of late model stuff. I ran last year in the Canadian Pro Series East. This year I'm doing a total of 26 late model races, running 10 of them out here on the West Coast at Irwindale Speedway and 16 of them out in Hickory and in Anderson Motor Speedway in South Carolina. And then obviously I'm working on getting back into a full body stock car, and hopefully, knock on wood, I'll have an announcement here soon. So,
I know what it is. I know what it is.
No, you don't.
No, I know it. I think I do. I have an idea of what it is.
You made a very poorly educated guess. More wrong.
Does it involve Bristol though? Am I right about that?
It can.
Okay.
It probably won't.
All right.
But it'll be fun. I'm excited.
Yeah, I know we're all excited to see what happens. I know a lot of people watching are definitely excited. I gotta do my last ditch call to the chat. We have 217 people still watching. Can we hit the 200 like mark? That would be pretty cool.
Hit the like button.
Sure.
One like equals one rhino.
Hey, there you go. All right. Oh, really quick. I forgot something. One last thing. So, ISM has they have a new Xfinity race sponsor because DC Solar, remember they were supposed to sponsor it, but you know, get it. Yep. FBI, you get in trouble with the FBI and the IRS. That's what happens. So, yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, Vargas and a couple of his boys, they were in the old DC Solar suite in Vegas. I think that was it, right?
Yeah, they had a suite still, and it was empty for obvious reasons.
So yeah, they took it. Just walked in. Just walked in and sat right in.
It was me, Haley, and Cole, and my buddy Ryan Pastana. So that was fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, all right. I believe that just about wraps it up. So, Eric, since this is on your channel, why don't you sign us out, man?
I'm over here waiting for you to sign off, and then I'm like, damn, you're right. This is on my channel.
No, it's not my channel. No, it's not my channel, man.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, so much tonight for watching. We had around 250 people watching the entire time. I'm excited to go back and see the final numbers. Big thank you to our guest, Ryan Vargas, for coming out. I put links to his Twitter, Instagram. Go follow him. Go support him. I'm sure you got a very bright racing career ahead of you. So thanks for coming on, man.
Of course, and also, guys, check out my YouTube channel. It's finally starting to get traction, so I'm very hyped on that. But yeah, thank you. I appreciate you guys having me on. This is always fun to do.
Thank you for being on, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess so. On behalf of Ryan, Black Flags Matter, Darian, and Jarrett the Iceberg, I'm Eric. Thank you all so much for watching the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. Once again, we'll see you guys again next week. Not sure what channel. What channel are we on?
Danny's, and we're having Austin Terrio.
Ooh.
And Kamikaze Games.
That's gonna be great.
Ooh.
That's gonna be a great one.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to see Kamikaze. He's gonna be like Kevin, or from SpongeBob when he sees Kevin from, I can't wait. All right, yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. So yeah, Austin Terrio and Kamikaze Games. That's gonna be super super fun. On Danny B's channel, we can't wait to have Danny B, our best friend, back. Thanks again, everyone, for watching. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll see you again next week, same time, over on Danny B's channel. Have a good rest of your evening, everyone.
Bye.